Good evening and welcome to the NAACP. We're the Chicago Westside branch of the NAACP, and we're here for a half an hour to entertain you on a lot of information. We want to update you on some things that have been going on. And of course, as you heard last week from our host, Rebecca Raines, our criminal justice chair, a lot is going on with the police accountability. But today I want to re-emphasize that the get out the vote for the November general election is very important. If you are not registered or you need to change your address so that you can exercise your vote for the November general election, you can go online to the Cook County Board of Elections website. You can also volunteer and sign up with us on our political action committee to assist with some projects that we're working on to get people registered to vote for this general election that's coming up. This is an election year, and you have to vote for people who represent your best interests. We cannot say that enough. Feel free to give us a call, 312-738-1060. We know that there's voter apathy out there. People have a unlogical thought that says that their vote does not matter. Every vote matters. Every election matters, and the outcomes could be so staggering and upsetting to one party or the other. But you have to vote for people who represent you. Case in point, just today, we know that Illinois, the state of Illinois, with our governor and our Senate and our House of Representatives, just came to a vote for a 6-month budget, which means that what was important for them to cover in this budget was the education. There's such a crisis in our school systems. They had to cover the school systems so that schools can open on time in the fall of this year. Plus, they put some dollars into 6 months worth of funding for human services. Human services are a big issue. They cover our children's daycare, our elderly nursing care, any social services that people who are less fortunate, low and very low income families need. So it's important that you not only are registered to vote, but that you exercise your right to vote and vote for people who represent your needs, your best interests. So with that, we're going to go on to, as I stated earlier, Rebecca Rain does a lot with our police accountability. You can always call our office. Feel free to call our office at 773-261-5890 and leave a message. And if you have a complaint, a police accountability complaint, or if you want to file a complaint with the Department of Justice, call our office, 773-261-5890. We know that there's a lot of issues still going on with the effects that police are doing out there. Police brutality is a huge issue in the city of Chicago, but guns are a huge issue in the city of Chicago as well. But if you have been on the backside of police brutality, you really need to call our office and let us know what your concerns are, and let us help you write up a complaint. Those complaints are necessary so that the Department of Justice can do what it needs to do to rectify the situation and hold police accountable. Hold the Chicago Police Department accountable for some of the ills that exist within those departments. And as I say, it's only a few bad apples, but they're wreaking havoc on the whole. So we have to do more to bring attention to the ills of the Chicago Police Department, hold them accountable, and hopefully they will do better in the future when it comes to respecting us and our communities. With that, I want to go on to my next topic for today. I want to talk about a study that I've been a part of, been reading. The Corporation for Enterprise Development, CFED, has done a couple of studies. The first part of this is that they do state report cards. They do a profile on each state, and of course our interest on this scorecard is with the state of Illinois. One of the areas that the state of Illinois lags in, but amongst 50 states, out of 50 states, the scorecard will tell us how they rank and the outcome of different programs. There's about 5 categories, and then how they rank on the policies that they set to combat these outcomes or these programs or areas that we need to be employed in for us, for our well-being. So with that, this report card ranks Illinois rather, 33, and that's on the bottom end. Illinois is ranked 33 on outcomes out of 50 states. And when it comes to policy, Illinois is rated at the in the 12th spot, which means that they've got some good things going on, but at the same token, there's a lot of pieces that are still missing. That second line there says 38% of Illinois' households live in liquid asset poverty. Liquid asset is cash or things that you could easily convert into cash. Stocks that you can sell, or retirement accounts that you can cash in, or even retirement accounts, CDs, as well as other savings investments that you can liquidate quickly to show your net worth. 38% of the households in Illinois, 38% out of, let's use a common denominator, 38 out of 100 people are in poverty, if we wanted to use a simple math calculation. Also in Illinois, 54% of Illinois consumers have subprime credit. Subprime credit, which means that, and 54% is awfully high. Subprime credit are the payday loans that we hear a lot about. These are just debt traps, DEBT traps, to keep consumers in a downward spiral, as consumers always looking for that fast cash. Title loans are also subprime credit loans. Even when you walk into the cash payday lending, as the cash, you give them a check and they take the money straight out of your bank account. When we say subprime credit, that means it doesn't have any impact on your credit until you not pay. And that is disturbing on this report. Let's look at this report further. 23% of the jobs in Illinois are low-wage jobs. Well, we've talked about that a lot. You hear it on the news where individuals have been charging for a $15 pay increase, wanting the minimum wage to be $10, especially in the service industry, working at the fast food restaurants and at the grocery stores as clerks. 23% of the jobs in Illinois are low-wage jobs. So once again, we look at that and we say 23 out of 100 people make less than minimum wage, or make minimum wage, which is the $7.50 or $7.35. 32% of adults in Illinois have at least a 4-year college degree. 32%. That's still not a lot when we talk about where the jobs are. If the jobs are in technology, if the jobs are in the health industry, if the jobs are in science, academia areas, then 32% out of 100 people have those degrees, which gives us the remaining people that are still at that poverty rate, low income scale workers. That's disturbing. And, it digs deeper into this study to go on to say some of the policies. Let's look at some of the good policies that the state of Illinois does have. Illinois has eliminated the TANF asset test. That was a test taken that if you were on public assistance and you were applying for emergency funding for housing, temporary housing, they would take all of your income into consideration, all of the members of the household's income into consideration. And if you exceeded a certain dollar amount, sometimes as minimal as $2,000, you failed the test and you didn't qualify. So Illinois is one of the states that has eliminated that test. Illinois also has the earned income credit on your state tax returns. That's a good thing. That's a good policy to have. Low-income families, once you do file your federal, you qualify for the earned income credit on your federal. More likely, you'll qualify for the earned income credit on your state tax return as well. The other check mark that Illinois has on policy is the state expanded the Medicare to those earning 138% or more of federal poverty level. Many people qualified for the Obamacare. That's a very good thing. But where Illinois lags at, it's a state where the minimum wage, we don't know if the state will raise it to the 10% by 2016 or indexes it for inflation. We don't know that. And that's, we hear a lot of activity, rallies and so forth, trying to get Illinois in particular, the government part of Illinois, to raise the minimum wage up to $10. Many of the McDonald's rallies have been for McDonald's to raise the minimum wage up to $15. So a lot is going on in this report, and we welcome to get this information out to you. But, feel free to call our office, 773-261-5890. And, if you have questions or comments, feel free to call in. We have a few more minutes left. But I want to also state that the NAACP, our monthly meetings are the first Saturday of every month, except for the month of July, which is this coming Saturday. Our meetings are at 1 p.m. and we welcome, we're open to the public. Our meetings are open to the public, and we welcome anyone who's willing and wanting to be a member to help us do more groundwork, do more activities for our community to be better off. So that's just one report that I had for you. Another report, when we talk about how Illinois is faring with grassroots organizations. Grassroots organizations have been the groundswell for everything that we've ever had happen within our community. Our grassroots organizations are your local organizations that either got started out of a church or someone just started to help consumers better their lives in one way or the other. Grassroots organizations are 501c3 organizations. They're nonprofit organizations within our community. There are many small nonprofit organizations to assist in many areas that we need help with. When you call 311 for the city of Chicago, you're calling for assistance to something. There's a nonprofit in your community who could possibly help you expedite that situation, help elevate that situation so that you can get good results. Those are the organizations that I'm talking about. We have quite a few. There is a wealth divide initiative by this organization that did this report card, and it's trying to bridge a gap. There's a challenge for the community and the nonprofits of color, the ones that I'm speaking of, the ones that are right here on the south side of Chicago, the west side, the north side, the east side of Chicago, community organizations that are there to make an impact on the lives of the consumers within the neighborhood. Well, there's a study, and this study demonstrates that there's a significant gap between the people who rely on those nonprofits for critical financial and social services and the charitable organizations that serve them. The disparity is also notes that at least 60% of the nonprofits who serve people of color, however, 82% of those individuals within those nonprofits are white. This is from the study. 10% are African Americans, 5% are Hispanic or Latino, and at least 3% are other, and 1% is Asian or Pacific Islanders. This means that the people who are serving you the most, the people who are funded the most, are the white organizations, but the people who are serving you within your community are the 10%, the 5%, and the 1%. The issue is with the funding. How can the organizations within your community better assist you if they're funded way below what the bigger organizations in comparison get from the state, the federal, the city, and the county to keep their programs running? And then do they actually service you when you walk into their organization doors? Give us a call, 312-738-1060. We know that this is an issue. We hear the comments, the calls, the questions every day on a daily basis. I'm working with this big organization and they're not servicing me. And then we have to send them to a grassroots organization or an organization that's nearby within their community that's willing and has open doors to assist. But it's those smaller organizations where the bridge lies, the gaps lie, that keep them sometimes on a string, doing business on a shoestring, but always willing to help where they can. So we have to do something about that. And this study gives us more ammunition to fight with our elected officials, to fight with the financial institutions, the banks that do the funding for the bigger organizations, to also fight with the foundations, the big corporations who also send funding to the bigger organizations, but not to the community organizations whose doors are always open, or they try to keep their doors open as much as possible to assist the families that are right there in the immediate community, to assist them with their immediate needs. We have to do more. We have to be more aware that these organizations cannot run off of air. But we have to make noise as to why there's such a disparity, why there's such a big gap between the local nonprofits, the grassroots organizations, those that are right there in the community that know what the issues are within the community as a whole, who can better serve the community. Why is it that they are not funded as the larger corporations are? And those larger nonprofit organizations, you have to call, you have to make an appointment. Sometimes they're 15 days out wait. Sometimes it could be a 30-day delay. Your life is on hold because you have to wait on the big nonprofits to assist you, because the smaller grassroots organizations within your community don't have the capacity to even compete. So we have to be aware of that. And I challenge you, if you are if you know of a nonprofit in your community, when they have fundraisers, when they reach out to you to come and buy a dinner, come and help celebrate, come and donate your time. If you don't have monies to give, donating your time is a big assistance. If you have one of those organizations within your community and you know that you can call them any day of the week and get assistance, get directions, find the resources that you need, not 3 weeks later or a month later, then you need to be aware of that and let us know. 312-738-1060 is our call-in number. Please give us a call. The other thing is that you should support them as much as you can, but the government should support them as well. The community as a whole needs to support these nonprofit organizations because they are viable options to you being able to connect to the resources that you need. They are educated. They are consumers of all types of education. We do know that. And they are very much aware of the issues at hand when it comes to foreclosure, when it comes to being homeless, when it comes to assistance that's needed for emergencies. They have the information. And your elected officials are some of the first ones to tell you that's who you should call. But these are the organizations, the grassroots organizations, we have a concern with because they're not being funded on the high end as the larger nonprofit organizations. The study once again reports that of the larger nonprofits, 82% of the employment is white employees. And that's a sad thing because those are the people that you have to go to for assistance. And those are people who don't look like you, who don't have a sense of your culture, of what your concerns, how you can relate your concerns, how you can get a better service or get someone who can connect with you, communicate with you. Our community nonprofit grassroots organizations are the ones that should be funded to assist you the most. There's a lack of diversity in the nonprofit sector, and that's disturbing, according to the study. Of the median income, white households can make anywhere between $12,000 to $110,000. I take that back. The black organizations could bring in $12,000. The white organizations could bring in $110,000. That's the disparity right there. And then the local organizations of community need access to resources that help them strengthen their capabilities. I mean, if you walk in and they cannot print you anything, it's because they're out of toner or out of paper. The copier doesn't work. That's a dysfunction due to a lack of funding. Not that they don't want to service you, but a lack of funding. So we really need to support our community organizations, and I'm going to leave it at that, and we'll talk about that some more in the coming months, because we have got to do a better job to make sure that our community organizations get funded just as well as the larger organizations. Another study that I went through, and I wanted to bring that up real quick. I think we have a few more minutes. The Pew Research did a study. And we've got time, 312-738-1060. We've got about 5 minutes left, okay? So I need you to call in and give us your responses on the election as well as the state's budget, as well as this report card on the state of Illinois, how good or bad it is doing toward inequality as it relates to black and white issues. The Pew Research Center did a study. They have, within the study, they had 5 takeaways about views of race and inequality in America. So, number one, of the 5 takeaways from this study, it states that black and whites Americans differ widely in views on race relations. So, this is, it should be, because our concerns as a black person and how we're treated and the outcomes of things that we try to participate in are truly different from white people. So of course whites would have a different take on how the outcome for them was compared to the outcome for us. Race relations are generally bad. 61% of blacks said race relations are generally bad, whereas 45% of whites stated that race relations are generally bad. 51% of blacks stated that Obama has made progress on race relations, whereas 28% of whites felt that Obama has made progress on race relations. So, that's just one of the many pieces to this study. Blacks and whites are just split over this topic. So anytime you get into a conversation about issues as it relates to our culture, our races, just plan to be in the conversation for a minute and plan for it to be a hefty conversation, but make it a mild-mannered conversation and try to enjoy and get another perspective that's different from yours. So that's where we are with these studies, and I wanted to bring these reports to you. And then we're going to wrap it up. I didn't get your calls this evening, but I want to remind you, as always, feel free to communicate with us, 773-261-5890. We are the Chicago Westside Branch NAACP, and we welcome you as a member, as a friend, to help us as a volunteer. So we will look for you to hear from you soon. Thank you and have a good evening.